The biggest of Chungai. Do you think a large portion of Trump supporters will become aggressive after he's dragged out of the White House? I don't think it's going to take that long. I don't think it's going to be a dragged out of the White House type of situation. I think what's going to happen between let me give you a for instance. You guys remember when the whole George Floyd situation happened? For 3 days straight, you only ever heard support of George Floyd. You only heard positive stuff about him, right? And then 3 days later, 5 days later, 7 days, 14 days later, you start hearing people talking about how bad he was and how wrong he was and he was an addict and he would have died anyways and all this other shit. Trump supporters slowly injecting propaganda into the conversation all the while. They slowly took the narrative back over the course of a couple of weeks. There's almost radio silence from Trump supporters, or there has been. Like after the election was called, there was some level of radio silence for 6 hours, 12 hours a day. I mean, there were always these background people talking about how they support Trump. You know, Jim Jordan, Representative Jim Jordan, was coming out there and saying it. A couple of little House members coming out and saying this thing or that thing in support of Trump. But largely, it was all political leaders like Mitt Romney, George W. Bush, all coming out congratulating Biden. All of the foreign leaders coming out and congratulating him. Just today, we saw Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham and some others come out in support of Trump. They waited for everybody to declare victory, just like with the George Floyd situation. They waited for everybody to show their support for George Floyd and get all of that out of their system. And now they're coming in with propaganda to flip the narrative against Biden, against George Floyd. That's how this cult works. Information control. They're waiting for it to die down. Then they're going to flip it using propaganda. So the next 2 months before Trump leaves office are going to determine if we keep our democracy or not. The next 2 months are going to determine the level of violence that we have to endure in this country. Democracy seems to have won currently, right? Because Biden was voted in. Just wait. The test has not happened yet. We will see if our democracy survives the next 2 months.